Alright guys, welcome back. Project What TF. So we're here today, gonna do some work trying to get this bloody thing ready for its MOT, some Cambelt brake and clutch stuff if we're lucky. So thanks for joining me. My name's Craig and I'm exhausted. Let's go. First things first, let's get this wheel off. Right, we need to get this pulley off. So first things first is to loosen the alternator, which is just in there. So should have squirted these last night. There you are. I've undone this bit for the alternator, but I can't get that to nut over there. I'm going to take the belt off and I'll get better access. I can do the alternator later, to be honest, but we'll take the pulley off, get the belt off. Okay, that's out. Right, I've taken the pulley off. I'll put the bolt back in so we can turn the engine in a minute to set the timing. Got the belt, the auxiliary belt off. Looks to be in okay condition. I just need to try and get that in there undone so I can tighten this up later. Right, I managed to get that undone. Put the socket on it, use my hammer, and then lever it open. So that's undone now, that's good news. Now we need to get the Cambelt cover off, and I think there are 8mm bolts on this side here, so I'll take those off. That's most of them out, just can't get to this one. Okay, coming off. Well, they're all out, so this should just come out now. Lift up. Right, now I need to get this lower cover off. A super longy reachy one out. Okay, there's just 3 bolts holding this one on. Before I take the lower cover off, I need to just time the engine. So there's 2 marks on here. The sun's in the way, you can just see them over there. And then the top dead centre mark is there. So just rotate this clockwise and then put that there, and then check cam pulleys are in the right direction. I'm going to break on the bar. Alright, can't get over the compression. It's a long short bar. There we are. Right, so that is pointing towards top dead centre. It's really hard to see, but there's a mark just on that pulley right there when I'm flashing the light. That's got to be pointing inward. So I need to rotate around again, and hopefully it'll move inward. Right, I've rotated it now. I've ignored the top dead centre mark. What I've done is just made sure these 2 marks on the pulley, they're here and here. You can't see, it's really dark. But they're aligned. I'm going to pop some Tipex on this now, some paint on it to make sure it doesn't get all muddled up. Then we can start trying to take the belt off. Can we see? Place that there. So I've got some marks now on here. I've got a mark on the inlet cam to the engine. Got a mark on the outlet cam to the engine. Obviously mark the outside. Got a mark on the pulley to that belt, a mark on the pulley to that belt, and when I take the belt off I can match the belt and put the new marks on the other belt. Down below you can't see the sun, but I've made a nice clean mark from the crank pulley to the engine, and then one on the belt as well. So we'll try to match that all up when we get this off. Right, up in there is the tensioner. It's got an 8mm Allen bolt, and I'm really struggling to get it undone. So I've tried, I don't want to round it off. So what I'm going to do is, you can't put too much torque on with this Allen key, so it's not too bad. You've got to make sure it's in there nice and square. Right, so I'll just cut the end off here, straight into an 8mm socket, and hopefully that'll loosen it off. So this little tool attached to my torque wrench, I managed to get it off. So I was really getting kind of scared about rounding off the bolt, and that would have been a disaster. So I used my torque wrench and I set my torque pretty much it's 45 Newton meters to install, so I set it to 50, 55 so I could monitor the load going in. I've just dropped that now, so I need to find that. But yeah, it's come loose, so I'm so relieved to get it off. Right, so this is the new tensioner. So what I've just done is undone the Allen bolt that goes through there. That was the one I was really getting nervous about. And then you undo the 8mm bolt on this side. Then this obviously swings up and down to loosen the belt. So now the belt's now loose. But I can't get these engine mount top bolts undone because they're an 18mm. socket, and I've only got 17 and 19, so it's a trip down to Halfords, I think, to see what they've got in stock. I can't complain about the weather, but it makes it hard to see, so just like to go get the 18mm, so that's fitting on there. So this will break this now. Okay, not on the lowest setting. Number 2. No. High setting. Jesus Christ. No, won't break that one. It's stuck on now, seriously. Come on. I'm a hammer. Let's try the other one. No. I'm trying with my long torque wrench to get it out, but I can't pull it. I'm trying to push it, so I'm going to take this glass wind deflector out. Alright, let's try with this breaker bar. Oh my god, this is insane. Fucking hell. This is insane, I can't get it undone. I'll try the impact again. Ugh. Right, a few hours later, can't get those 2 engine mount bolts out. Tried absolutely everything. Tried heat, I've tried breaker bar, scaffolding pole on the end of a breaker bar. Obviously tried my impact gun. I've tried, can't get good access to the impact gun, so I've also fashioned a socket. I was using the universal joint connector because she can't get direct access, which takes out some energy, so I fashioned an extension and rounded off the edges, relieved it so I can get a bit of angle on that, and that got more direct access. I'm still quite strong, and then it sheared off, so I'm out of ideas on that, so I put it back together, and the plan is now to get the brakes done, get the clutch done, and then get it to a garage, and they'll probably just with a proper windy gun. So last time you saw me was Friday. It's now Monday morning. I can fit an hour in before I need to start work. So a bit of an update over the weekend. I've still got 2 seized engine mount bolts. Just can't get them out. I have broken. Well, I tried to make a bobble bar and broke this extension. I have bent my breaker bar with a massive scaffold pole on the end, and I have applied a significant amount of heat, and nothing is working, nothing's coming out. So what's the plan? It's really difficult to see, but so we've got the 2 seized bolts that just will not come out. There's obviously some kind of galvanic corrosion going on with the aluminium underneath in the lower mount section. So this lower mount section that bolts to the block has got 4 bolts that go through it into the block. Okay, so underneath. You can just see it here. I'll just point to it. So that's the lower mount. That's one of the bolts, and there are 3 others. One there, and they are all out. So this now moves, but it's really stiff. Okay. So my next plan was, because all of that engine mount attaches to this mount frame that goes back to the subframe, was to take this mount frame off the subframe. So there's 2 bolts that go in here, and I've got those out, and there's 2 bolts that are under there, and I cannot get them out. This one, I was happy to grind this one off and hit it through with a punch. This one, the other one, goes through the cross member into a stud on the other, into a fixed stud onto the other side. So it's welded to the frame, to the mount frame. If I grind that off, I still can't hit it out. So I have to hope that I could lift the whole thing up. So I'm pausing on that for the moment. So what am I doing today? So as you lift the engine up and down, this mount moves towards and away from the engine, and there's a slight recess up inside it as well. So the plan is to lower the engine where that mount opens up at the bottom. Then I'm going to put a bit of rubber in, and then I'm going to lift it up. Okay. I think that'll then open up the gap at the top, and I can get a bit of wood as well and pry it open. And with those gaps, top and bottom, I can get the belt out and I can get the new belt back in. So that's the plan. But to enable that to happen, to give me space to do that, I need to take the water pump and the tensioner off and loosen the belt. So the first thing we're going to do this morning is take the tensioner off. I undid that on Friday, so that'll come off quite easily. And then I've got to take the water pump off. That water pump is right next to this mount, so if I leave the water pump in, there's no chance of getting that belt through. So the water pump's got to come off. I also figured out that all these dinks along here aren't car park dinks at all. They're from leaning into the engine bay, so make sure you've got some kind of protection when you're doing this. This one's quite good, it's got magnetic strips on it, stays in place. Well, not when it's not windy, it doesn't. Right, we've just undone the tensioner. Let's get that. Right, so here's the tensioner. Doesn't look very good. Look, it's been in there a while. I'm not sure when they did the change last time that ever got changed. So looks like it's done more than a few thousand miles. So we've got a good job of changing that. Right, I've got the belt off, so you see my marks that I've made on the pulleys. So let's make sure they're kept aligned. That one at the bottom aligned. Now the belt's out of the way. Can't get it off yet. Now I've got to get that bloody water pump off. And then someone said to me, be really careful of this one that mounts the cover as well. So I think I'm going to try and just can't see that from here. So if I lower the engine, then I might be able to get direct access to that. If I lower the engine, we can see it now. I'm just going to put some penetrating fluid on that while I do the other ones. That's soak for a little while. Let's see a few of them in there. Should be able to get straight at. So we've got the small ones out. Now this one, 13mm socket. So it's not too bad. Oh, easy peasy. Beautiful. Unexpected mess. There she is. Actually, doesn't feel too bad. I'm not sure if she was changed or not. To be fair, well, we'll change her anyway, won't we? So, well, apologies, hard to see, but if you look up there, you can just see the thread form. That's the lower bolt for the engine mount. So my plan is now to put on this rubber bung. So I've got some rubber bushes from the MGB when I did the suspension on that last year. These go in the front wishbone, but I changed them for V8 ones, so these are new but not used. So the first thing I need to do actually before I put that bung in is to fill the belt. Put the belt halfway through. Right, that belt is now halfway through. Okay, I've got the belt's halfway through. Now I need to put in that bush and try and stop this moving towards the engine, and hopefully it will open up at the top. Right, so I'm going to get there. So I've just taken the corner off that. Hopefully I can slip it in now. Right, she's in. So now we're going to slowly wind up the engine, and hopefully that will keep the gap at the bottom and make the back gap at the top bigger, because that's the one I'm struggling with. Right, so if you look down there now, you just see the gap. So I've got the belt through that way. Now there's a bolt in the middle that I might be struggling with, and then the other side. Progress, but not quite there yet. So I can't bloody get this. So you can see the gap there, and then you can't really see it. The gap there when I've gone behind the mount. Then I've got the one in the middle, and then you get towards the edge. You can see the casing there for this frame is right in the way. So what I'm going to have to do now is take these pulleys off and take the casing off. So we've got one pulley off. See it a little bit easier now. You see the gap and the stud in the middle, and then just on this side, put my finger back in, the casing there, it's getting in the way. So it's just getting it through that gap, it's killing me. So we've got both pulleys off, just undone the 8mm bolt that holds this in. I need to lower it back down now, see if I can lift this out. There might be another bolt lower down. Right, so let's go back up now and see what gap we get. I have the jack underneath the engine. What the engine was doing when I was lifting it up was tilting backwards, and that meant that I just couldn't get through the gap. So I've moved the jack back. Now the engine's tilted forwards, okay? And then with the pry bar and jibbing it in there, we have oh yes, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday morning. Wow, it's off. 4 days after I started, the belt is off. Oh my god, oh my god. Never has two seized bolts caused so much pain on. Well, I'm sure they have, but Jesus, it's supposed to be an easy job. Apart from the U2 seized bolts, bloody hell. But we're off. Let's mark her up and get the new one on. Wow. Right, quick update then. So you saw I got it out, and then my battery died, so I've had to charge the phone. So done a fair few things in reverse now to start rebuilding. So I'll show you where we are. So I've posted the belt back in exactly the same way as it came out. I've reinstalled the bolts on the mount to the block, so that's all tightened up. I've put back on the camshaft cover. I put on the camshaft pulleys, but I do need to take those back off now because I need to find out I think it's M10, what size these bolts are, because that sets the torque requirement. So I'll pop one back off, and that'll tell me what torque I need to do. Then we need to torque those up. Right, so that's an M10 on the 160 VVC. So that needs 65 Newton meters torque. Where's my washer gone? Screw that bad boy back in. Well, those pulleys are back on and torqued up now to 65 Newton meters, so that's done. Just going to put the timing back, put them back where I want to in terms of timing, and then we'll fit the water pump. Right, so we've got the old water pump and the new water pump, same, slightly different. This is a Napa one, so good piece of kit. Just going to bead of sealant around here, mainly, if nothing else, to ensure this seal stays in place. Let's stick it to it while I'm installing it, so let's just do that. Alright, got a bit of sealant in there. Jab this back in. Okay, it's nice all around. Let's get it back in. Water pump's on. Now time for the tensioner. So this is the old one, a bit manky. New one, I'm not sure that's ever been changed, so yeah, I'm glad to be changing it. Got a spring to put on as well. Right, there's the water pump. Then I've got a thread, the tensioner, up into there. Then I've got to do this spring, so it holds the tensioner up. To get the tensioner on, you still need to obviously do it by hand to tighten it, but that just keeps it in place. Struggling with the spring, so I made this little tool to hook around the end of the spring so I can lift it up. It should work. This quick job, this quick job is taking me forever. So, a few days have gone by now. I've been ill. I've had food poisoning for a few days, which took me off my feet for a while, and then work commitments and like so. But we're back on it now. So just a bit of an update. Where are we? So last time I was fitting the water pump and the tensioner. I put the tensioner on, and I just attached the spring that pulls the tensioner back up. That job in itself took a long time. I didn't film it because you can't see anything in there. You can't actually reach to do anything in there, which is why it took such a long time. Now I've just going to mark up the cam belt, lock in the pulleys, the cam pulleys, and then we're going to fit the cam belt. So I'll come and show you what I've got so far. That's my mark on my inlet pulley, just there, and I marked it on the block. And then again, there's the mark on my outlet pulley, and I marked it on the block. I don't have a cam locking tool. I fashioned myself a peg, just a plastic peg. I've just clipped one of these down and push that in. It's quite soft, so there's no damage to the pulley. Before I took the belt off, I did mark it up so I know how many teeth are between each of my marks on the pulley. I've got another mark on the outside of the pulley, which aligns to the outside pulley on these marks on the outside of the belt. These ones align to the inside. And then I've obviously got my crank marks down there fully lined. Now I have had both of these pulleys off because I needed to get them off so I can get the belt in between the engine mount. But we do know that these can freely rotate as long as you put them back on the marks when you're fitting the belt, because these rotate half a turn for every turn of the crank. So every 2 turns of the crank, these go around 1 turn. So we know this is where we started. So we know this is where we're gonna be when we fit the belt. Now, if you doing it the other way around, and you didn't know where that one was, you couldn't be clear if you're on the compression or exhaust stroke. So you would need to go back and find that out. But in terms of the cams, you can rotate them as long as you put them back to where you were, back on the marks. So I'm going to mark up the belt and then try to fit it. So I've marked up the belt. I don't think it's actually that important to do this. If you didn't do this, it doesn't really matter as long as the marks on the pulley to the block are in the same place. It doesn't really matter, but this just might help me as I try to tighten it. So I've just done it anyway. So I've gone around the tensioner and I've aligned those 2 marks. It's difficult with one hand. I'm going to try to thread that in there and align these 2 marks. There you go. And she goes. Well, I've just done that side. Now it's clear that it's just jumped out on this side, so I'm just going to pull that back one. My tool's not holding it perfectly tight, so... Oh, no. Now, if I look down there, look. I'm just out. Right, really Heath Robinson. But I've got my marks aligned on both pulleys. Got the belt on the right place. Got a couple of plastic pegs in there, keeping the belt on the pulleys. Now we're going to go below and pull the belt down on, try to equal force on each side so the pulleys don't try to move. So we're already around the tensioner. Now we're going to feed it around the water pump. Good. And then, again, equal force on each side. If we're lucky, with the tensioner down. It's tight, but it's on. So we've got the belt tensioned. I've got my marks on my pulleys in place. I've got my mark on my bottom pulley. What I want to do now is rotate the whole thing full cycle. So let's just go around twice and then check nothing's in the way, because it shouldn't be. Once. Put that back on the bottom where it was twice. So now my pulleys at the top will have rotated once each. So you can't really see that, but it's spot on. So yeah, brilliant. Timing belts in place, all tensioned. The tensioners, the Allen key bolt's got 65 Newton meters on it. Smaller one's just got 10 on it. You have to do the smaller one first, because if you don't do the smaller one first, when you tighten up the Allen key on the tensioner, all it does is turn the tension around and you end up losing your tension. So be mindful of that. Okay. Cam belts on, alternators back on. We're ready to start it up. Fingers crossed we don't blow the engine up. I just need to start the Mercedes to give her a jump because the battery's flat. Fingers crossed. Yes! So I need to put the cover back on, but she's running. Brilliant. Right, it's worth making sure as well, if you've had the coolant drained, you leave the coolant in the radiator and that plug there. And there's a, so I can see, but the coolant bleed in the engine bay. Just down there, it's an 8mm bolt. So take that out, make sure they both come out with water. Fast forward many days later, I don't know, quite a lot. The weather in the UK has been absolutely awful. We've had snow, we've had rain constantly, it's been bloody freezing. So the timing belt job's taken a heck of a lot longer than I thought. And I think I might be up to nearly a month now, which is almost crazy. So just when you think you've finished, you haven't. So we've done the timing belt driver's side of the engine, but this is a VVC engine. So it's got a timing belt, a small one, on the opposite side of the engine, the rear side. So I need to get that done. So I'm going to try and get that done now. Should be a really quick job. Should be, but this isn't going really that way, is it, so far? Right, so this is the cover on the rear side. So we've got 4 of these 8mm bolts to undo. So let's get those undone, and I've got to unclip this as well to get the cover off. 4 bolts out. Not the easiest to get to the bottom ones, but let's get the cover off. So here's the belt. Belt looks actually in pretty good condition. So we're going to change it out for this new Gates one. It's got a rover mark on it, which I'm surprised to see actually. So the timing belt taken off the other side of the engine has no such markings on it. So, and this one looks pretty battered. Well, the wording looks battered, but the actual belt looks in reasonable condition. So I don't know. Was it changed? Was this one changed? I don't know. That's why we do them in the first instance, isn't it? So we know they've been done. So let's get this. We've got to get this pulley off. You don't take the inlet one off because this one's the one that's driven by the VVC mechanism. I'm told you take the outlet one off, then slide this off, and then undo that. So try and do that. We've got to align these notches first. There's one there, and there's one down here. On the other side, we put them together so they're facing each other. You can do that. Reading the forums, in terms of the spring locations on the cams, I've heard that it's better to put them facing away from each other. So we'll put them facing away from each other. Then we'll do exactly what we did on the other side. Mark it up against the block, mark it up against the belt, and we'll take this pulley off and then swap it out. So we've got the mark on the pulley, just there, and that's pointing directly up. So that's in the safe area, so we know that all the pistons are at midpoint, so they're not going to clatter into the valves. So that needs always to be at the top. And then we've got notch on the outside, notch on the outside. So I just need to mark up these pulleys on here, mark up the one on the crank, and we've got to undo that, take it off. Right, before marking it up, I've just undone that bolt. Wasn't too tight, wasn't too bad. I had to take the cover off the other side and just lock the opposite pulley because this one's too small to get any purchase on. So now that's undone, put these back to the outside. We're at safety mark on the crank, on the crank, yeah. And now let's mark this up and then get it off. We're all marked up. So let's undo this bolt quite long. Yeah. Give that a wiggle. Wow, okay. Don't even need to take the pulley off, just loosen it. I've got the belt off. Let's do some counter marks. Let's do some marks on this one. Oh, those two are marked up. I'm not sure why I did it all over the writing, but they're marked up. You don't need to do this, I just like to do it. It just gives me peace of mind when you put it back on. Well, I've got it back on. I just need to check now that key in there is in the right place before I tighten it up. So I'm just going to try to get some photographs in there, I think. Right, photograph confirmed she's in the right place. The key's in the right place, so I can tighten this back on now. We'll have another look at these marks in a minute. That's on. Okay. So, marks on that side are great. My marking on that side of the belt wasn't the best. But when you look behind the belt, at the mark on the pulley, that's still aligned with the position on the casing, so that's fine. So I've got alignment there and alignment there. That's just two marks aren't the best, so that's spot on. So let's tighten her up and then put the casing on. Right, let's torque this up. I'm assuming it's the same as the other side, 65 Newton meters. Seems reasonable. Okay. Yeah, that's tight. We're going to do a quick couple of revolutions of the engine. Check they're still aligned. One revolution. I've done 2 revolutions. Oh, good alignment. Let's get the camera in the right place. Good alignment. So that's good. Let's put the casing back on. Right, all bolted back together. Let's put the other one back on, and then we're done. Wow, it's done. Can't believe it. That one-day job has taken me weeks. I've had a haircut, I've had shaves, I've had multiple changes of the clothes, I've had loads of mince pies. Christmas is almost here. We've had snow, we've had frost, we've had a load of rain in the UK. It's gone absolutely bonkers. Can't believe it's taken so long. Those 2C engine mounts really did put a spanner in the works. It took a long time to fettle that. But mainly it's been lost time due to things like weather and illness. I've had food poisoning along the way, so it's taken me forever and a day. What should have been a 2-spanner job in Haynes has turned into an ordeal that I'll never forget. So, but it's done. That's done for a fair number of years. So where are we with the car now? So the brakes are done. I've got the brakes to work. They've all been bled. I fitted a braided clutch line, bled that, but that won't stop leaking, so that's going back. I've got a new one of those from a guy on the one of the Facebook MGTF Facebook pages that looks a lot more substantial, so that needs to go on. That's the next job. So once that's on, we'll find out if she moves. So the engine's running, timing belt's done, so that's not going to go on me and give me a nightmare. Brakes seem okay, although I've not moved the car yet, so that's a good start. And let's get that clutch going, get it moving, get some tyres on, and get it down the MOT station. Get that done. See what else we've got to figure out before we're roadworthy. Thanks for watching. I'm over 400 subscribers now, so I'm really enjoying the process. Really enjoying making videos. It's been great fun. This has been a bit of an ordeal. Not something I want to do again for a while, but I've learnt a lot about the car. So thanks for sticking with it. Let's give it a start. Make sure she's running.